Hey everyone, Ray here with Rinksworks. I have a different kind of video for you today. This one is not car related, it's not guitar related, it's snow related. So we're in the middle of a blizzard, can't get to town, streets haven't been plowed. I barely got my truck out of the driveway just to move it across to get some of the snow out of my driveway. But we're at 3 feet or 4 feet in some areas, and if it's this big and heavy here, it's also that big and heavy up on the roof. So I already know of at least 3 carports in the neighborhood that have collapsed. My neighbor's cover over his deck collapsed, and I'm starting to get worried about my roof. So I went up today for a couple hours and shoveled, and I got about a third of it done, and I could not do any more. So I went and sat in a hot bath and did some thinking, did a little bit of research, and tried to come up with a plan that was more age appropriate, because frankly I'm getting too old to get up there and do that shit. So I came up with something that works pretty darn good. I'm going to show you how I'm going to get snow off this roof without climbing up there with the shovel. So if you're interested in seeing how I'm doing that, stay tuned and I'll show you. How about a hand? No, seriously, how about a hand? That's some deep, heavy snow. So what am I doing with this junk, you may ask? Well, I got 4 feet of snow on the roof, and I'm starting to get nervous about it. So I'm going to try to create something that will be easy to remove it. I was up on the roof shoveling it, and that was not easy. So we're going to try something else. So let's see if it works. First thing I'm going to do is cut the bottom out of this bucket. I'm going to use a skill saw. There's other things you could use. I'm just going to drill a hole in the bottom to get the place for the bit to go through. Not the bit, the blade. These sharp edges that might have left. All right, let's take the handle off. Do it the easy way. guess I should probably explain what I'm doing. So, theory is this bucket will be shoved up into the snow. That plastic will be wrapped around this and then draped off the back. And as this pushes up through the snow should come through here and slide down the plastic onto the ground. That's my theory. Shower curtain would probably work. This happens to be, I think, 6 mil plastic that I had. I'm going to try that. I'm going to use PVC. I wish I had a couple pieces. I can't get out, so I'm only using what I have. I'm going to screw this to the bucket like so as a handle. Wrap the plastic around it. Shove this up into the snow. That's the theory. Let's see if it works. All right, I think I showed you me putting this on the outside of the bucket. I'm gonna actually mount it on the inside of the bucket. And the bucket, we're gonna be shoving this up the roof. And you want the end that you cut out, you want that to go up first because the bucket's tapered. So if you had it to go up this way, I can see how it would pack in and then clog up because of the taper. So if you do it this way, that should allow more snow to release. That's my theory anyway. PVC would not be my first choice, but it's what I have. So I'm just going to put a piece of duct tape over this hole and cap it because I don't want it to just get packed up with snow. Someday when I do this for real, or not a prototype, I guess, and I will make one because I don't ever want to be in the spot I'm in again with how much snow we have. I will make a telescoping rod. And if I had time, that's what I would do on this video, but I don't. So, use a clamp just to kind of hold this in place. Whoops. After I told you all that, I put the bucket backwards. And not one of you said anything. That'll hold it in place. Now, another thing I would do if I was doing a telescoping thing or whatever, I would use bolts. But for now, I'm just going to use some sheetrock screws. I'll go through the bucket and through the PVC. Hopefully it'll be strong enough. I think I'll use 3 of them. This might be a little tricky. Let's see if we can do it like this. Okay. I'll do one on each end and then I can line up and get the center since I can't see anything. Oh, I missed it. Oh, I pushed it. Darn it. There we go. I'm going to do one more in the middle. Looks like it's about lined up. Oh, that one I missed. All right, there is our bucket screwed to the rod. Okay, here's our plastic that we're going to tape to the bucket. I have it folded in half right now, so it's actually double that width, but I'm going to cut it in half. So I'm just going to slice it right down that seam there. All right, I'm going to use electrical tape to tape this to the bottom of the bucket here. I think that will be best. I'll find out. Yeah, I think electrical tape will work good for that. I'll just put a couple spots and then I'll put a couple wraps. So I wish I had time to actually plan this better and make a better video out of it, because I think it's actually an interesting idea. But I did not expect 4 feet of snow to suddenly be on my roof. So I gotta do what I gotta do. I just hope that this works the way it's working in my brain. Okay, let me wrap this. Now I can already see that this conduit is going to be too flimsy, which was what I was worried about. I think if I had this all planned out and I was going to go to the store and buy some stuff to make it, I think electrical conduit would be a good choice. But we don't have that option. But I do have a piece of steel rod. It's going to make it heavier, which isn't ideal either. I do have a piece of steel rod that I can send down the center of it that I think will stiffen it up, but it'll make it heavier, unfortunately. But we don't have too much options at this point. Too much options. My grammar, huh? Too many options. All right, hopefully that will hold the plastic on. Okay. See that? That is unfortunate. I'll show you how I'm going to stiffen it up. Unfortunately, also making it heavier. This is a piece of round steel I just happen to have. Again, if I was planning this, it would be all different. Just going to slide that up in there. Now let's see what happens when we pick it up. Should make it better, but heavier. Yeah. Okay. We do need to make it longer though. So I have this square steel tubing. It's open on the end. I'm actually making a headache rack for a truck, so I happen to have this also. What I'll do is I'll slide that end up into that steel rod and then I'll duct tape the whole thing together. I still don't know if that'll be enough length or not, so this still may be, this particular time, a ladder project, which is very unfortunate. But again, we're doing this on the fly. All right, I taped those two pieces together with duct tape real good. These are not, that's not snow that fell off the roof. But that's why we got to do this. So we're going to give it a try. All right. I don't know how well this will work. We're trying proof of concept here. So it works, but definitely better pole system would be ideal. So looks like I'm actually gonna have to get a ladder in order to get high enough. It's where the telescoping pole would come in very handy. All right, I did something stupid when I taped these two pieces together. I never secured this piece to this, so when I lifted it up high, this slid right down through there, making that not work right. So I'm gonna tape the shit out of this, put this back on, tape the shit out of that, and get a ladder, and I think it's gonna work beautifully. So you can see I jabbed 3 holes in there, and you saw the snow come piling down, but unfortunately, because I was down on the ground, and I don't have a way to really kind of, I'm gonna put a ladder up, and I can get a straighter shot and start pulling it. I'm not trying to clean it, I'm trying to get the weight off of it. So now I'll get a ladder set up, because that seems like a safe thing to do in 4 feet of snow. There's actually a tree here with a 3-foot fence around it. Dogs made a couple of trails so that he could at least come out here and pee. Be right back. Oh, and I fixed this. Taped this to the inner rod that's in there, and then retaped that. So it should all stay together now. All right, I got a fence along here. Made a trail through so that I knew where that fence was. But I got to start on this right side. I'm right-handed, so that's going to be my strength. If I start down there and come this way, I might bury myself if this thing works properly. So what I would always recommend when you're doing stuff like this in the wintertime, since it's cold out, is get yourself a good shot of whiskey or several before you get up on a ladder, because it'll keep you warm if you fall off and impale yourself on something. Let's see how this works. Don't think of this as removing snow. Think of it as removing weight. And actually, I'm kind of thinking now what I'll do is, because it is so deep, I think I'll get as much off from the ground and then undo that pole so that I have it shorter, and then go up on the ladder and use the shorter and go up higher. I think that seems like the more reasonable thing at this point. Yep. All right. A little bit more. We did get the bulk of the weight off the soffits, which is the weakest part of the roof, but we'll do a little bit more. Before it gets too dark. This thing actually works really well. So you can see I'm not trying to remove all the snow off the roof. I'm trying to remove weight off the roof. Pretty much got most of the weight off the soffits, but I'm going to try to give you a bird's eye view of what this thing actually looks like in action, if I can. So we'll stick the bucket through the snow. I'm not sure I can do this one-handed. Stick the bucket through the snow, and you can see, hopefully now, the snow slides down inside the plastic. I don't think it's probably showing very well on the video. See the big hunks coming down through the plastic? Alright, enough of the video. I'm going to be falling off the ladder. I keep trying to do videos. So I'm going to just clean off the rest of this best I can to get the weight off. And honestly, part of the reason I'm doing this, I'm of course worried about my roof, but I'm worried about my neighbor's roof as well, because he's got a cathedral ceiling, and that's weaker than what I got going on. So I'm going to get mine done, then we'll go over to his house and try to get most of the snow off of his roof. Okay, is it easy? Not really. Is it easier than shoveling? Hell yeah. So you can see I've gotten right up to the peak. I have a bit to go still. And you can see the grooves where I did it from the ground. But this gives you an idea, I think it gives you an idea how deep this actually is. But you just jab that bucket in there and it just slides down the plastic and down to the ground, where you create another mountain. But better ground mountain than house mountain. So, finish this up. Alright, I'm making mountains on the ground, but at least I'm getting a lot of weight off the roof. So, the camera won't focus, it's probably wet. You can see where I stopped. I had to stop because my fingers are frozen. So I got another, I don't know, 10 or 15 feet to go to at least get the bulk of the weight off the roof of the house. So I think I'll wrap this up. I think you get the idea. And thank you for watching. See you on the next one. Alright, so what's the verdict on this? Well, it worked great. The plastic was the right length, about 10 feet. So that worked out good. Snow slid right down it. It is much easier to push this through the snow than it to try to put something up on the roof and pull the snow off. That's much more work. We talked about the handle. That was obviously the biggest failure of this. It was just too heavy. It worked. I couldn't get out, so I used what I had. But if you could find some aluminum that you could attach together, aluminum rods that you could attach together to make it much lighter and more rigid, that would be perfect. I got to thinking later, the bucket worked good, but what if we use something like that instead? Just because when you're creating ridges, when you're pushing that bucket through, it's kind of hard to get it back like in the center of one of those ridges because it wants to roll either way. So I think if I do this again, I might do it out of something like a trash can, kitchen trash can. I think that would actually work a little easier if it's rigid enough. You know, the bucket's pretty rigid. The can, I don't know, once you cut that bottom out, it might be too flimsy. I'm not sure, but it's worth a try, I think. But other than that, it worked great. I hope this helps somebody. I hope you get something out of it. I'd like to say it was a fun project, but it was a project out of necessity. But we got something together and made it work. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.